Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Katie. Alright, so for today's video, I'm going to be DIYing viral decor and style trends for 2021. These are things that did emerge last year, but that are super popular right now still on Instagram and Pinterest, and when I'm shopping online, it's like the only thing I ever see, so I thought it would be fun to recreate it myself. So all of these did take a bit of trial and error for me to get them just right, so I'm gonna break it down for you on what steps I took and give you my tips and things I learned along the way so that you can easily do it at home. So with all that being said, let's get started. The first piece I wanted to try to recreate is the donut vase, which is the round vase that everyone seems to have right now. It's a really cool modern looking vase that I've seen all over Instagram, and it's being sold in some of my favorite stores. And I've seen some people do various DIY versions using paint or even clay, but I had an idea that I hadn't seen anyone do before, and I think it looks really authentic. So I purchased a pack of foam craft rings, and I think that using this particular material is one of the most important steps to making the vase look authentic. Most people use the green floral foam rings, which have a totally different texture than this one, which is more like a thick styrofoam. And this pack comes with a bunch of different sizes, so you can even make more than one if you want to. To create the top piece of the vase, which holds the flowers, I had the idea to use part of a cardboard toilet paper tube. So I cut it in half to make it the perfect size for the vase. And next I applied a small bit of hot glue all around the bottom of the tube. Make sure not to use too much glue because you don't want it to squeeze out the bottom and the sides. Do this step first because the cardboard sticks really well to the foam and will ensure that it won't fall off in the future. I held mine down and pressed it firmly until the glue had cooled completely. I wanted to give the vase a really sturdy base, so instead of cutting the foam flat on the bottom, I used a scrap piece of wood to create a separate base. I added a generous amount of glue to the piece of wood and centered the ring on it. Again, I pressed it down firmly and held it there until the glue was cool. Okay, so here's where things get fun. I had the idea to use plaster of Paris on the ring to create a really organic, textured look. I purchased this tub of dry plaster for about $5 and mixed it up using equal parts plaster and water. I mixed it in a cup using a wood stick, and by the way, that yellow color you see is just old paint from a different project. But I wanted the plaster to be fairly thin at first and then build it up with each new layer. Keep in mind that plaster sets pretty quickly, so you have about 10 minutes before it will begin to thicken in the cup. I started by brushing a thin layer all over the foam ring, and I made sure to cover every inch of it before moving on to the cardboard top. Because the cardboard is a darker color and it does absorb some of the moisture at first, it takes a few more coats than the rest of the base. I also spread the plaster mixture all over the wood base as well. To get the other side, you can simply stand the vase up and repeat this same process. After I finished with the first coat, I let it dry for a few minutes before going in with a second coat. And at this point, my plaster had started to thicken significantly in the cup, but I was actually okay with that because I wanted to start adding thicker layers with each coat. This time I paid extra attention to the cardboard because I wanted to make sure that none of the darker color would show through. It's also important to coat the seam where the cardboard meets the foam because you want it to look like one seamless piece. You can kind of tell here that I started to get a much more textured finish on the foam, which is exactly what I was going for. I repeated this whole process of covering the entire thing, letting it dry a bit, then adding more plaster 3 times. On the last round, I added more water to my mixture and took my brush and patted it all over the vase. I was hoping that this would create an interesting look so that it wouldn't be perfectly smooth all over, and that's exactly what happened. Once I felt satisfied that each part of the vase, the cardboard, the foam, and the wood base were fully coated, I left it to dry overnight. I was honestly shocked at how amazing it looked in the morning when it was totally dry, but there were a few bumps here and there, so I tried taking a slightly damp sponge and brushing the bumps and flakes away. It worked pretty well, but I don't think it's worth repeating this step because you do risk rubbing away too much of the plaster. As a last step, I sealed all of this in using some acrylic paint. I mixed together some cream and white colored paint and covered the entire piece with it. I would highly recommend doing this step because the plaster is fairly flaky and can rub off easily. So painting it really seals it in and stops this from happening. If you like the color of the plaster as is and you don't want to paint it, then you could give it a clear coat seal instead. Again, make sure to get in the seams as well where the wood base connects to the foam. I'm so incredibly excited with this vase. I think it looks like a gorgeous modern piece, and you would never know that it's made from foam, scrap wood, and a toilet paper tube. The next trend that I wanted to try out is tie-dyeing with natural ingredients. I've had this on my list for a while, so I decided to finally give it a go. I'm dyeing 2 pieces of clothing today. The first is a pair of white jogger sweatpants. I started by folding each leg in a sort of accordion pattern back and forth. Then I grabbed some string and tied it tightly around the fabric. You can also use rubber bands, but I just had this string on hand and it worked really well. I repeated this on the other pant leg, added the string, and this is what it looked like when it was all ready to go. I also had this cute white t-shirt dress, which I thought would be so fun to tie-dye for the summer, and it would be a really cute swim or beach cover-up. So for this one, I pretty much just scrunched it up into a ball, then I tied multiple pieces of string all around it. I think I added 4 to 5 pieces of string when all was said and done. To create the dye, I added 8 cups of water to a large stainless steel pot. I also added 4 tablespoons of turmeric, which is going to create the yellow color of the dye. And 2 tablespoons of salt. The salt acts as a fixative to help the stain adhere to the fabric. I brought this mixture to a boil and let it simmer on the stove for about an hour. Keep an eye on it during this time and make sure that the water isn't boiling down too much, and you can also add the lid to keep this from happening. Okay, so the first method I wanted to try was to submerge the fabric fully into the turmeric mixture, so I decided to do this with the dress. I turned the heat off and then added the dress directly to the pot. I used a wooden spoon to press the fabric down and flipped it over so the whole thing was coated. I let it sit for about a minute or 2, and then I took it out and rinsed it under cold water. Then I took it outside and removed all the string, and I had this gorgeous pattern with such a vibrant yellow color. I was so surprised at how strong and beautiful the yellow color was even after just a few minutes of soaking. I'll show you the finished product after I washed it in just a bit. For the pants, I tried a different method by laying them outside and pouring the rest of the turmeric mixture over sections of the pants. I didn't want these to be quite as vibrant as the dress, and I thought it would be fun just to show you a couple of different ways that you can tie-dye. I also recommend wearing gloves when handling these because it definitely left a yellow residue on my hands. It washed off eventually, but it would just be better to wear gloves and not have to worry about that. Once I was happy with how much color I had added to them, I removed the string and rinsed them under cold water and then let them dry in the sun. Okay, so this is the final look of the dress. I think this is so cute. The pattern and the color turned out really well. This is already after 1 wash, so I washed it on a cold cycle just by itself and put it through the dryer, and the color is still super vibrant. I'm not sure how many washes it will last, but it seems like it's going to be pretty good for at least a few washes. The color seems to be on there really well, and I just think it's gonna be such a fun summer dress to wear to the beach or as a swim cover-up or just like a little casual dress. And this dress is super soft, by the way, and it has pockets. It was only $12, so I will link it down below if you guys do want to try this project out. Okay, now onto the pants, which came out slightly less cute. The color is just really light. I could see that it has potential, but I'm wondering if it just looks like I peed my pants. Like, does it look like I wet my pants? I'm not really sure. I think I've been staring at them for too long, but they're not the worst. I think I just would have preferred more yellow overall, so it wasn't just like white with yellow splotches. So I think if I were to do this again, I would definitely do the submerging method where I put the entire thing in the pot, or just pour more of the liquid onto it and not have as much white showing. But it definitely has potential. I'm glad I tried out both methods. I think maybe I could boil some more mixture and make these a little bit better. So maybe like redo it a little bit, but it was fun to try out. So now you guys kind of know the 2 different methods that you can do and how it would look. So I don't know, I hope you'll give it a go. Okay, you guys know what to do. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these was your favorite. And normally I do mostly decor, so it was really fun for me to try like a fashion style DIY this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, but let me know what you thought. And if you do try any of these out, make sure you tag me on Instagram. I love to see it. It's one of my favorite things. I love to share them on my stories. So keep on doing that. And if you don't want to miss my videos, make sure you are subscribed to my channel and have your notifications turned on so you don't miss any of my weekly videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.